落ちてこいんですか。
これタイヤ。
うわー、ほんまや、すごい。
あんな大きい。
Hello guys, in this video we will be picking up a racetrack. Shout out to the guys from Unit 8 in UK who built the track for us. It is the first racetrack like this in Japan. There are no races for the racetracks in here like there are in Europe. And the track just arrived in the container from the UK. We arrived in the Osaka port, so I am today going to pick it up. Pick up the container, bring it back to our company in Nara. Okay, but let's start from the beginning. Today we will be using this container frame. It is a standard Japanese container frame. You can see a lot of frames like this around ports in Japan. It's basically as simple as it can be. And we will be pulling it with this Hino track trailer head. It is also quite a simple track, reliable and easy to maneuver on the Japanese roads. Much easier to drive than a Scania, for example, on those narrow roads. It is constantly telling me the communicate to insert my tachograph card, but I don't have it, so you will have to listen to this communicate in the background for the whole video. Sorry for that. Nanko でコンテナ配給部 X-ray 検査持って行ってで合格だったら持って帰る。
あ、ほんでなんか入ったん。
レーストラックありがとうございます。飲みます？
100円にしてねって。
いや別に何でもいいよ。
あ、100円にしとこうか。これにしとこうか。
まあ任せる。何でもいいよ。気にしないでください。
うわ、日本も出てきた。なっけ
なんだよ。So the container with our racetrack inside has just arrived, but it was selected for an X-ray inspection. And that means we can't simply pick it up and go. We have to collect it from the terminal and personally deliver it to the inspection facility. And if it passes the scan, I'll bring the container back to our company in Nara, where we will finally unload the truck. I'm already in contact with the customs and I'll meet them before entering the terminal. They will hand me the documents I need and a special flag that's supposed to let me pick up the container without waiting in the usual queue with the other trucks. At least that's how it should work and what I've been told. I've never picked up a shipping container in Japan before, and as you will see later in the video, it turned out to be a little more complicated than I expected. Hi. はい、どうも。When I arrived at the terminal and tried to enter, there was this small K car blocking the entrance. At first I thought someone had just parked there, but it turned out to be the customs officer waiting for me. He handed me the documents and the flag I needed and explained that after I pick up the container we will again meet around here and drive together to the X-ray inspection site. But this terminal was more complicated than I expected, and there are multiple forwarding companies operating here, and each one has like a different procedure and different queue system.
Anoコンテナの引き取り
ニットやろ？
ニット
ニットはこっちやで。
いやわかんないよ初めてここ来てるんで
いやこんな入り方。
C8 だと言われたんだけど
C8 は C8 ニットが彼がついてないの。
ニットか
ここはニットが今入ってる人が入ってるわけ。
はい。
ここは紙なの。
紙組のあれで。
だから中にたくさんおるからこっち直接入ってきたらダメ。
じゃあどうしましょうか。
みんな待ってるからね。これ一旦右やるやろ。
はい。
右から出てそこに一旦入って、これで順番に出してくれるわほいたら。
And I ended up going through the wrong process at first, which caused some confusion. I had to leave the terminal, come back in, start over, well, look for the proper container, for the proper, reception window where I can go and where they will guide me. And most people assumed I was a professional driver working for like a transport company, so they just told me to ask my company for instructions. The problem is we are not a transport company and no one at my company actually knew how to pick up the container and how the process works. So I had to cause some trouble for the people working there and, well, figure it out on my own step by step. And in the end, it took longer than expected, but, well, I picked up the container. And picking up the container itself was also a little different. In Europe, I did it a few times, and you exit the truck and guide the person on the crane on, if he should put the container a little more to the front or to the back. So I thought I should do the same here, but when I left the truck, the guy from the top through the speaker shouted at me. Yeah, basically I was just doing everything wrong and causing trouble to everyone. I also ended up leaving through the wrong exit from the terminal, but more on that later in the video. After some back and forth, I finally managed to pull the container out of the terminal and rejoined with the customs officer. From there, we headed together toward the X-ray inspection facility. So first I had to pass under the height bar set at 4 meters 10 centimeters to check if the truck was low enough to proceed. I cleared it so I could continue to the massive X-ray scanner. Luckily the container passed the inspection and it was finally released, so I got my documents back, returned the flag I had been given earlier and started the drive to Nara. There is one more catch though. In Japan the general height limit for vehicles on public roads is 3.8 meters and anything taller needs a special permit to use the highway. Since I don't have a permit like that, the highway was out of the question and that meant driving all the way back on regular roads. So I had to constantly watch my route, making sure I didn't end up in some narrow street or under a low bridge. Let's just say my palms were sweating the whole way. About 30 minutes into the drive, I got a phone call from the customs again. They told me that I had to return to the terminal. And remember when I mentioned taking the wrong exit at the terminal? Well, that turned out to be a much bigger problem than I thought. And apparently because I left through the wrong gate, the container had never been properly released from the terminal. I had basically driven out with it without completing the required procedure. So there was no choice, I had to go back and sort everything out. Fortunately, I hadn't broken the security seal on the container doors yet, so in the end it wasn't a serious issue, but the terminal staff were not exactly happy to see me. They were quite mad, shouting at me and asking what I'm doing and that kind of stuff. So I'm pretty sure they won't forget me anytime soon, and if I ever have to pick up another container from the same terminal, they will probably remember me immediately. Yeah, but that being said, I finally took the container out from the terminal properly and headed to Nara. So yeah, let's go back and enjoy the drive through Osaka. Just praying this bridge is over 4.1 meters. If not, and if I take it down, I mean there are trains running on top of that. So yeah, that would be the end.
Woo!
疲れた。
もうこれで晴れてもううちのもんやもんな。
そう。
え、コンテナもうちのもん。
もう返さない。はい。
多分ね、その国はライトを取らなかったからな。
そんなレベルか。落っこってきたりな。落ちてこいんですか。
これタイヤ。
うわー、ほんまや。
あんな大きい。
カツカツ入っとるやん。
カツカツやん。
すごっ。
4トンのパルフィンカーでする？
パルフィンカー。
ただいまよ。
キッチキチやん。すごいね。
So as you see, the truck has arrived safely. Now the real work begins, though. We have to put it together, paint it, finish all the details. And since there are no other racing tracks in Japan, there won't really be anyone to race against. But instead this track will become like a showpiece, like a toy, an event vehicle that you will be able to see at track shows and events all across Japan. So keep an eye out, and if you get a chance, come and see it in person. We are also looking for sponsors, so if you would like to have your company's logo displayed on the track, feel free to get in touch with Senopro Tracks. As always, thanks for watching, guys, and see you in the next video.